I woke up very early on Friday. The sun was not up yet. My heart was beating fast. This was the day we would leave. The room was full of boxes, they were stacked against the walls. The air smelled of tape and dust. Our bed was gone. We had only the mattress on the floor. I sat up slowly. My chest felt heavy. I looked at the walls, they were bare and white. No pictures, no shelves, no clock. It looked like another person's room. It did not look like our home anymore. I pulled the blanket close. I wanted to hide under it. I wanted to stay for one more day. But there was no more time. I stood up and walked to the window. The glass was cold against my hand. I looked down at the street. It was quiet, only one cat walked between the cars. I could see the small shop at the corner, the same shop where I bought milk and bread for 6 years. My throat hurt. I whispered goodbye behind me. My husband was still asleep, his face was calm. I wanted to wake him. But I did not. I wanted him to rest. Soon the day would be hard, soon his arms would be full of boxes. There was a knock on the door. It was our neighbor. She smiled, but her eyes looked wet. "I will miss you," she said. Her voice shook. I felt my chest tighten. I wanted to cry. But I smiled instead. "We will miss you too," I said. She gave me a small bag. Inside were sandwiches wrapped in paper for later. She whispered. My eyes filled with tears. I hugged her. She smelled of flour and soap. It was hard to let go soon. My husband woke up. He stretched his arms and looked around the empty room. "Are we ready?" he asked. His voice was low. I nodded. But my hands were shaking. We had planned this move for weeks. We wrote lists. We packed everything with care. We rented a truck. We asked friends for help. Everything was ready. But my heart was not ready. We began to carry the boxes. The stairs were narrow. My arms hurt. But I kept going. Each box felt heavier than the last. Our friend arrived to help. He laughed and said, "You have too many books." I tried to laugh too. But my smile was weak. The books were my friends. I could not leave them behind. One by one the boxes went down. The truck began to fill. We wrapped the chairs in blankets. We tied ropes around the table. My husband checked the ropes again and again. "It must be safe," he said. Sweat ran down his face. But he did not stop. At midday, we sat on the floor. The apartment was almost empty, only 2 boxes were left in the corner. The sound of our voices echoed against the bare walls. I touched the wall beside me. It was cold and hard. My mind was full of memories. I remembered the first night we came here. We had only one bag of clothes. We ate dinner on the floor and laughed. I remembered when the bathroom light broke and we fixed it together. I remembered our first fight, our first kiss, our long nights of talking. Every wall had a memory. Now the walls were silent. I stood up and walked from room to room. The kitchen smelled of soap and dust. The shelves were empty. The small balcony was bare. I looked down at the street. One last time. My chest hurt. This place was not perfect, but it was ours. It was part of our life. We lifted the last box together. My arms shook. My husband held one side. I held the other. We carried it slowly down the stairs. When it was inside the truck, he pulled the back door down. The sound was loud, like a heavy drum. I jumped a little. It felt final. It felt like the end of a chapter. We washed our hands in the sink. The water was cold. Our neighbor came back with her grandson. They helped us clean the last bits off. Then we all stood in the hallway. The key was still in the door. My husband looked at me. "Do you want tourniquet?" he asked. I nodded. My fingers were shaking as I turned the key. The click was small, but it felt loud. I gave the key to the owner, Hesmoldon, wished us good luck. We thanked him. My throat was dry. I wanted to speak, but no words came. We walked outside. The sun was bright, too bright. The street looked the same, but to me it felt strange. It was no longer mine. I climbed into the truck. I sat in the front seat and looked at the building. He whispered, "Goodbye." My husband started the engine. The sound was rough and loud. Our friend stood on the sidewalk waving. I waved back with a trembling hand. My eyes burned. But I did not cry. The truck began to move slowly. The street fell behind us. I watched the houses pass by. My husband held the wheel tightly. His face was serious. I reached for his hand. He looked at me. His eyes were soft. "We will be fine." He said. "We are starting a new life." I wanted to believe him. I tried to smile. But my lips shook. The city was leaving us. Every turn of the wheel took us farther. My chest was heavy. My heart was full of fear, but also full of hope. I pressed my head against the window and closed my eyes. The sound of the truck was loud, but inside my mind it was quiet. I thought about the past and I thought about the future. I thought about what we were leaving and what we might find. The road stretched ahead. The sky grew brighter. I whispered one last time, "Goodbye, old life." Before I continue my story, please subscribe, share, and tell me where you are listening from. Your support means a lot to me now. Let's continue. The road was long. The truck made a loud sound. My husband kept his eyes on the road. I sat quietly beside him. My heart felt heavy but also light. I was leaving so much behind, but I was also moving towards something new. The sun rose higher in the sky. I opened the small bag from our neighbor. Inside were sandwiches wrapped in paper. I gave one to my husband. Eat, I said softly. He smiled and took it with one hand. I ate mine slowly. The bread was soft, but I could hardly taste it. My mind was full of thoughts. We passed fields, trees, and small towns. I pressed my head against the glass and watched them blur past. At times, I felt calm. At times, I felt afraid. Would we like the new city? Would we find new friends? Would the new house feel like home? Questions kept circling in my head. After 3 hours, we entered the new city. The streets were wide. The buildings were taller. The cars moved quickly in every direction. My heart beat fast again. Everything looked new and I felt very small. We followed the map until we reached the house. It was on a quiet street away from the busy road. The house was not big, but it was bigger than our apartment. It had 2 bedrooms, a kitchen with a window, and a small balcony. I saw plants on other balconies and it hot. Maybe I can grow flowers here. We parked the truck in front. My husband turned off the engine. The silence felt strange after the long drive. We looked at each other. For a moment, we said nothing, then he smiled a little. We are here, he whispered. We unlocked the door and stepped inside. The air smelled different, like paint and dust. The rooms were empty, waiting for us. The walls were clean and white. The floor was bare. I walked from room to room slowly. My footsteps made small echoes. It did not feel like home yet. It felt like a stranger's place. Soon, our friends arrived. They followed us in their car to help. Together, we began to unload the truck. The boxes were heavy. My arms ached, booty did not stop. We carried chairs, tables, and bags inside. The floor filled quickly with piles of things. We laughed a little while we worked. One friend joked, "You need 10 people for all these books." Another friend said, "You could open a ship." I smiled. But I was too tired to answer. My back hurt and sweat ran down my face. When the truck was finally empty, we sat on the floor of the new living room. We drank water from plastic bottles. The air was hot, but the room felt fresh. I looked at the piles of boxes around us. I sighed, "This will take forever." I said. My husband smiled. "We have time," he answered. After the friends left, we were alone. The house was full of boxes, but it still felt empty. I sat in the corner, hugging my knees. I felt small inside this new space. The walls did not know our voices, the air did not know our smell. It was not home yet. That night, we lay in the mattress again. The bed was not ready. We ate bread and fruit for dinner. I looked at the ceiling in the dark. I felt tears in my eyes. "Do you think we made the right choice?" I asked. My voice was quiet. My husband reached for my hand. "Yes," he said softly. "It will take time, but we will be fine." The next morning, sunlight came through the window. It was soft and warm. I sat up and looked around. The boxes were still there, but the light made the room look different. Maybe this could be home. We started to unpack. I opened a box marked kitchen. Inside were cups, plates, and spoons. I placed them on the shelf. I wiped the table with a cloth slowly. The kitchen began to look like ours. My husband worked in the bedroom. He built the bed again. He opened the wardrobe and placed clothes inside. The sound of wood and nails filled the house. Unpacking was slow. Every box was heavy, some items were broken. 1 glass had a crack. A small plate was missing a piece. I felt sad, but my husband said, "It's okay. We can buy new ones later." I knew he was right, but still my chest hurt. These things carried our memories. At midday, we went outside to buy food. The streets were full of people. I felt lost. I did not know where the bakery was. I did not know where to buy vegetables. I missed our old street where everything was familiar. Here, every face was new. We found a small shop on the corner. The woman behind the counter smiled kindly. "First time here?" she asked. We nodded. She pointed to the bread and fruit. "These are fresh," she said. Her voice was warm. I felt a little better. We bought what we needed and walked home slowly. Back at the house, we ate together on the balcony. The air was cooler. Outside, birds flew across the sky. I looked at the buildings around us. Some children played in the street. Their voices were high and happy. I felt a small smile on my lips. Maybe we would be okay here. In the evening, we opened more boxes. I found our photo frames. I placed them on the shelf. I put one picture on the wall. It showed us on our wedding day. The moment I saw it, my heart felt warm. For the first, the room felt less empty. That night, the house was quiet, too quiet. I missed the sound of our old street. I missed the neighbor's radio. I missed the shop bell at the corner. It turned on a small lamp. The light was soft and yellow. My husband sat beside me. It feels strange, doesn't it? He asked. I nodded. "Yes, but maybe it will get better." He touched my shoulder. "It will," he said. The next few days were busy. We unpacked slowly. We cleaned the rooms. We placed each item in a new place. At times I felt happy. At times I felt sad. Change was hard, but each day the house looked more like ours. On the 4th day a neighbor came to visit. She brought a cake. "Welcome," she said kindly. My eyes filled with tears. I felt touched. We sat with her and drank tea. We talked about the area, the shops, and the people. Her words were simple, but they gave me comfort. Maybe this street could become our new family. That night, I stood on the balcony, the air was cool, the stars were bright. I took a deep breath. I thought about the past and the future. I thought about what we lost and what we could gain. I whispered, this is our new life. The first week passed quickly. We unpacked more boxes every day. The house looked different now. It was no longer empty. The shelves were full, the table stood in the middle of the room. Our bed was ready, clothes hung in the wardrobe. It was slowly becoming our home, but my heart still felt heavy at times. At night, I often thought about our old place. I remembered the street light outside the window. I remembered the sound of our neighbor's door. I remembered the smell of bread from the bakery at the corner. I missed it all. One evening, I sat on the balcony alone. The city around me was quiet. My husband was inside fixing a chair. I looked up at the sky. The stars were small but bright. I whispered, I feel like a stranger here. My eyes filled with tears. I wanted to be strong, but it was not easy. The next morning, I decided to walk outside. I wanted to learn the streets. I wanted to know the shops and faces. I put on my shoes and left the house. The air was cool and the sun was soft. I walked slowly down the road. I saw a small park with children playing. Their laughter made me smile. I saw an old man sitting on a bench. He was reading a newspaper. He looked up and nodded at me. For the first time, I felt less alone. I went into a shop. The same woman from before smiled again. Welcome back, she said. I bought bread, milk, and apples. She asked, how is your new house? Her voice was warm. I answered, it is good. We are still unpacking. She laughed softly, that always takes time. She said. I felt comfort in her words. Day by day, things changed. The new street started to feel less strange. I learned where to buy vegetables. I found a bakery with sweet bread. I discovered a bus stop close to our house. Slowly, the city opened itself to me. One Saturday, our new neighbor invited us for tea. Her name was Mrs. Khan. She lived across the street with her family. She gave us warm bread and tea with milk. We talked for an hour. She told us about the area, the school and the park. Her kindness touched my heart. When we left, she said, you are welcome here. Her words stayed with me. At night, I told my husband, I think I can like this place. He smiled and held my hand. I told you, he said gently. The next week, I decided to plant flowers on the balcony. I bought small pots and soil. I placed them in the sun. I planted bright yellow flowers. When I watered them, I felt peace. Tea balcony no longer looked empty. It looked alive. Every day I watched the flowers grow. They made me happy. They made the balcony feel like ours. Sometimes I sat there with tea. I listened to the voices of children playing outside. I watched the sky turn orange in the evening. My heart felt lighter. One afternoon, I went for a longer walk. I found a library near the park. The building was small but quiet. Inside the shelves were full of books. I smiled. The books had always been my friends. I borrowed one and walked home with joy. That night I read until late. The words gave me comfort like an old friend. Our life began to find rhythm. In the morning, my husband went to work. I cleaned the house, cooked food, and sometimes visited the shop. In the evening, we ate dinner together on the balcony. We talked about our day. We laughed again like in the old days. One evening, he said, do you feel happy here now? I thought for a moment. Yes, I said slowly, not fully. But more than before. He kissed my hand. That is enough, he whispered. Weeks passed. The house looked full and warm. The walls had pictures. Again, the shelves carried books. The kitchen smelled of food. The air carried our voices. It was no longer a stranger's house. It was ours. One night, I dreamed of our old apartment. I dreamed of the street, the shop, and the bakery. When I woke up, I felt sad, but then I looked around. I saw the light on the balcony. I saw the flowers by the window. I saw my husband sleeping beside me. I realized something important. Life moves forward, memories stay, but the heart can grow in new places. The next morning, I wrote a letter to our old neighbor. I told her about our new house, the flowers, and the kind people here. I thanked her again for the sandwiches she gave us on the day we left. Writing the letter made me cry, but it also made me smile. By the end of the second month, I felt different. I no longer felt like a stranger. When I walked on the street, I saw faces I knew. When I went to the shop, the woman greeted me with joy. When children played outside, they waved at me. I waved back. My heart felt lighter each day. One evening, I stood on the balcony with my husband. The sky was full of stars, the air was cool. I looked at him and said, this is home now. He smiled and put his arm around me. Yes, he said softly, this is home. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. I thought about the past, the pain of leaving, the fear of change, and then I thought about now. The flowers, the laughter of children, the kindness of neighbors, the warmth of our new life. My eyes filled with tears. But this time they were not sad, they were full of peace. The big move was hard. It was painful to leave what we knew, but it gave us something new. It gave you hope. It gave us space. It gave us a new beginning, and sometimes that is what we need most. Thank you for listening to my story. Life is not always easy, change can hurt, but it can also bring hope. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with friends. Your support means so much to me.